So I don't know if I can say that the team has no heart, Sancho, but I will say this. They don't play with violence quite like they used to. I didn't see Debo do much of anything today. It was a hot one. It wasn't hot for Debo Samuel. I'm going to start looking at some final box scores here. Brandon Ayuk had 147 receiving yards of the 244 passing yards that Brock Purdy let go of today. Man, that is not a game that is easily explained away at all. I got to get into some bigger, deeper numbers here, and I got to set that up so you can enjoy it too. This the 2-minute warning today crept up on me just a little bit. I won't lie to you. It really did here. Let me go to team stats because that's what I'm interested in right now. We're looking at team stats today. 19 first downs for the Cardinals. It's a little bit more. Look, they were 3 of 10. 3 of 10 on third down. That is not a bad day, but 358 total yards, 6.3 yards per play. Devondre Campbell is the worst 49er defender, I think, who was out there for a significant snap count. 169 rushing yards is what they ended up giving up to the Cardinals with 50 or more, certainly 50 or more, because his first rush of the day went for 50 yards. To Kyler Murray. So James Conner ended up paying off in the second half for the Arizona Cardinals. There's no doubt. 231 passing yards for the 49ers, 169 rushing yards for the Arizona Cardinals. And that's where this game really turned because Kyler didn't have much of a day throwing the ball around. 189 passing yards. Not a prolific day passing for Purdy by any stretch of the imagination. He was hunting so many big plays. I think he gave up an awful lot of efficiency to get there. And Brock Purdy, I think, is at his best when he is at his most efficient. And he was inefficient this afternoon. This game looked like it was going to be a good and easy day of football for the 49ers. This game saw the 49ers going from up 23-10 at the half and then get right off the field with a 3-and-out from your defense to start the second half. And then Brock Purdy throws his first interception on that tip pass where the defense did a really nice job holding the Cardinals to a field goal, though, right? So it's a 10-point game, though, and your kicker's hurt. And that would haunt the 49ers after a very long possession. It was like 10, 11, 12 plays, and they end up turning the ball over on downs on 4th and 23 after Brock made a bad choice buying time. He got the 49ers out of that Wisnowski maybe range. You can't be looking at 4th and very, very long when you don't have your kicker in there. So the 49ers, after giving up a touchdown and then causing a penalty, now have the Arizona Cardinals considering, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go for 2 here. We're going to go for 2, and that's why a field goal beats you by 1. 0-2 in the division. And this team is now 0-3 in the NFC Conference, right? They lost to the Vikings as well. So it is not the mathematical start. Kyle Shanahan's going to get cooked, I think, a little today. And I think that Brock Purdy, as good as he looked at times, I mean, he's out there hitting dudes with hezzies. He ran at times so well today, but he also ran himself into trouble. And he ran himself into situational trouble. And for Brock Purdy to not be wired to meet the situation is a little odd. It's a little bit of what you don't expect out of Brock Purdy. Sometimes you just got to throw the ball away. And you got to live to fight another day. And I thought that Brock Purdy got out of the what's the right thing to do to manage the game, not what's the best play I'm trying to cook up for myself in this moment. I think that that's where he hurt himself. It was nice to see Brandon get his groove back. It was good to see Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk finding something this week that they had not found in any week prior. We all thought it would take about 4 games, 4 weeks for Ayuk to really work himself into shape. And it paid dividends today. By the way, 12 tackle afternoon for Fred Warner. I know I crapped on Devondre Campbell. He is slow, but he had the second most tackle report there. He's got 9 tackles this afternoon. But still, he's slow. He really, really is. 14 carries, 89 yards for Jordan Mason. Isaac Guerrero came in for 5 carries and 22 yards. Brock Purdy carried for 33 yards on 4 attempts. Deebo Samuel, 3 carries, 9 yards. The Deebo carrying the ball thing just isn't working anymore, which is too bad because Deebo receiving the ball thing didn't work very well today either. He was 1 for 11. This was a bad Deebo day. A normal Deebo day probably gets you into the win column. This was a bad game for the 49ers. They had a chance to win it defensively. 4th and 5, 2:49 left in the game. They were up 1. They couldn't get off the field. Murray retreated, backpedaling. It looked like the pressure was good on him, and it really was. He sort of launched up a wing and a prayer, and Marvin Harrison Jr. came down with it for a first down, which led to the winning Cardinal drive this afternoon. A lot of big plays in this game. But the 49ers failed to make the biggest ones when they needed to. And when it looked like they had really put the drive together that was going to put the period on the end of this win, Jordan Mason fumbled. That Jordan Mason fumble was terrible. And it was caused by a guy who hadn't even played this year. It was bad, obviously. It was caused by Jesse Luketa. He hadn't played a snap from scrimmage all year before today. But Brock Purdy, he was his own worst enemy as often as he was the 49ers' best quarterback in years. You know, he really was today. He bought enough time for himself where he just thought he had like an infinity clock going. And he was running around and doing all sorts of happy feet, not nervous happy feet, but buying good time happy feet. But look, 49ers wide receivers, if you want to accuse them of getting lost in man-to-man coverage, I think they're guilty of that. I absolutely think that they're guilty of that. Let's talk special teams because there's a 5-yard penalty on a punt that didn't give up a first down by Beal Jr. And I thought, all right, well, he didn't give up the first down. So can we really score that one against them? Yeah, it's another special teams mistake. Let's score that. And right as we're scoring that, what happens? A blocked field goal, a 61-yard blocked field goal returned by Lenore for the first time in 244 games for the San Francisco 49ers. They block a field goal and return it for a touchdown. They hadn't done that since 2009. And then on the ensuing kickoff, Jake Moody has his ankle bent in an unnatural fashion because he's the one making a tackle because nobody on special teams in front of him did his job. Is it really on the head coach that it's a tip ball at the line of scrimmage? Now, if you're just saying to yourself, like, hey, man, you got to run the ball more. I agree with you. I agree. Run the ball more. Did Kyle Shanahan fumble late in the game like Jordan Mason did? I'm not capping for Kyle Shanahan. I'm not. I don't owe Kyle Shanahan anything, and he doesn't pay me to say nothing nice about him. But I think he's a really good coach who sometimes is undone by the way he tries to interpret a game. And today was one of those days. I don't want to call him a heartless team. Like at no point in time today did I think the 49ers were going to give up on this game. So I don't know if I can say that the team has no heart, Sancho, but I will say this. They don't play with violence quite like they used to. When the 49ers were at their best, they played with violence. When Deebo is at his best, he is an incredibly violent player. Deebo today did nothing. You know, when Deebo is on it and feeling it and swagging it, the Niners are at their best. They really are. And when he is out of the game plan, when he is off, he's pretty invisible at times.
Thanks for watching. Tune into the Damon Bruce Show live on YouTube every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.